Alright, we're back. We're going to cover today the Series 6.5. It sure isn't much different from the T2, but there are a few nuances. It's a new marker out for Chipley, so I definitely want to go through it and give it its due. The thing that I do want to cover though, and this will cover for the 6.5, the 5, the 6.0, is the tools of the trade that you're going to need to take this apart. I did this for the T2 and I had a few different tools, but I want to make sure I do this for the 6, the 6.5, and all those other videos. So let's take a look at the tools of the trade for that. Set the marker aside for a second to showcase what we're looking at here. The first thing you're going to want to get is a good set of Allen keys, and make sure they're ball end, okay? Spend the money on it, get a good set, make sure they're not cheap. If they get bent or anything, replace them, okay? Ball end allows you to get into some places that you couldn't normally get into with straight end sorts of Allen keys. One thing you might also want to get is a long-handled 1/8. That'll help you with taking apart the grip frame on most CCM markers. Again, good set of ball ends. Start at .050 and go up to 3/8. You usually don't use anything more than 1/16 to a quarter, but I have seen a few applications on different markers, so it's nice to have a full set, okay? One thing that you're also going to want to have is either a decent set of inline wrenches, something like this, although that could be a little overkill for carrying out to the field, or a crescent wrench to take off or put on any fittings that you might have on your marker. So good quality set of those. Don't get cheap, don't buy cheap, and you'll be a lot happier with it. A dental pick or two is a good idea. I use a straight dental pick and a curved dental pick, although I can't find my curved one right now. That's just to get O-rings off, clean any dust off, or when you take something off with Loctite on the grooves, it allows you to scrape out the Loctite that's old from there and get rid of that. You don't want that to get back into your gun and get in the valve. So the next tool you're going to need is a sniper or cocker valve tool. This one's available through CCM. It's high quality, but any one will work. Just make sure that you've got one in your kit or you can't take the valve apart, okay? I'll link CCM right there so you can get that from them whenever you need to, or any cocker valve tool will work. You gotta have one though, okay? One thing that I wanna talk about now is something that I built myself or purchased, is a reg pressure tester kit. And let me grab the one that I built first. It's kind of my cobbled together one, but works just fine. This was an Air America. They're not even in business anymore. So let me set that aside for just a second. And you can make this out of the parts you've got laying probably in your toolbox or pretty close to it. What I've got here is an old ASA. This was a duck bill that I cut the duck bill off. Okay, that allows the tank to be pressurized. I went to Home Depot and I got the fittings. This is a male and a female. I believe those are 3/8 national pipe threaded. I put a quick disconnect on. I had an old remote line that I took it off from. If not, you can find them online, okay? And then a quick disconnect here. And then I got a gauge that's between 0, this one is 0 to 700, 0 to 800 works perfectly well. I have a couple of other gauges when I want to get a little bit more fine. 0 to 300 if I was testing low pressure things, or 0 to 1500 if I was testing my tanks. So what I would do if I were testing, say, a tank, I'd put the right gauge back on, I'd grab a tank, and then I would screw on this reg pressure tester onto the tank. Now what's going to happen here, if I don't do it right, I don't want it to vent right away. I want to move the slide check forward so it's pressurizing. Now, this is a 450 psi output tank. So checking that, I can see that's right on the money at 450 psi. Now, how do I get that off with all that pressure in there? I let the pressure out, I unscrew it, a turn or so, I get rid of that residual pressure, and it comes right off without any danger. Okay? So that's the homemade one. I picked up one that's an old Air America. Either one will work. Just make sure you have some sort of pressure testing device to not only test your tanks, in case you're wondering why is this marker making mistakes, but also checking your regulator. The other thing you're going to need, if you're going to check your regulator, is this. You grab your tank, you put that on first, then the reg, and you can see this in the reg video, goes in here, you attach the two, and that's how you can test without it being on the gun. You can test your pressure on your regulator. So that's the full kit there. Lubricants. I use one. Well, two, but I use one primarily. I use Hater Sauce Marmalade. Okay, just do. So what I use, it's not necessary. It's what CCM used to use at the factory there. You can use Hater Sauce Green. I'll link both, or to their website. This is just Dow as far as I understand, with a green, you know, dye in it. Dow 55, Dow 33 is probably your comparables on these. Pick them up, and then, you know, one can will probably do you for the rest of your freaking life. But Hater Sauce is made for paintball. And you know, I've had this thing for years. I'll never run out. It'll go bad before it runs out, you know. The other thing you might want to grab is a bottle of Tri-Flow. I advise getting it in the drip bottle. It just works better that way. Tri-Flow is the only lubricant that you can use that I know of, and I got this tip from a guy on Pumpenstein that used to be a tech for Bob Long. This is the only lubricant that you can put on a Delrin piece and have it not swell. They always say don't run lubricants on your Delrin. You can run Tri-Flow, and it does make it run faster. I only have one bottle here, but I would have at least 2, maybe 3 bottles, small ones, of Loctite. I'd have red Loctite for stuff you do not want to take back apart. It's known as permanent Loctite. Blue Loctite for almost every other application. It's more of a sealing Loctite. Or green Loctite, not the permanent green, the sticky green, and I'll get the numbers for that and put it up at the bottom for all 3 of these, because each Loctite comes with a certain type of number. For other applications like that, red if you don't want it to come apart ever, like your feed necks, if you put your feed necks on there on a Series 6, or blue if you want it to be basically held or sealed. But that does it for basically the tools you're going to need to take apart most things. You're also going to need something to clean it with, and I advise a good squeegee, you know, plenty of rags. I don't have them with me, but long-handled Q-tips. Medical supply places sell long-handled Q-tips and make things really easy to clean out in those hard-to-get-to areas. And one last thing you're going to want to get is a spray bottle. This is just an old Nick Wax, you know, it doesn't matter what it is. Spray bottle, mostly with water, a little bit of alcohol, and a couple of drops of anti-grease style detergent, just dish detergent. Shake it up real good, and that will take most of the stuff off of any gun. Remember though, it has alcohol in it. Don't use it on your goggles. It can break down that. But that's all you're going to really need for a full set, really, to take apart any CCM marker, especially the Series 6, Series 6.5, Series 5, Series 5 Basic, things like that. So that should be about it. All right, thanks.